What's up? This is Chris, and I want to share some information with you about Google Display ads. Okay, and the reason why is because the data looks really good on Google Display. We've been running some ads in that direction, and man, is it affordable to get eyeballs from Google Display. But there are some things you're going to want to look out for. There are some things you want to think of because Google Display isn't necessarily a total replacement to your other ads that you're running like on Facebook and Instagram or other places, but it can absolutely be a section of your overall media plan. And, I guess I would argue that it can be a larger section than you might think, okay, because of the way that it operates and what you can do with it. So, what I'm going to do is show you some excerpts from some presentations that I've done recently. So, I did a presentation for the Craft Beer Professionals group back in the spring, where we talked about the difference between different platforms. Then I'm also going to show you some slides from a presentation I just did last week for the International Print and Imaging Conference here in Las Vegas. So they invited me on to talk about Google Ads specifically. Anyways, let's show you some of that information because I think it's very, very valuable here. So first, this is a slide from the presentation I did comparing Google Display and with other channels here. And I think this is valuable because it kind of gives you an idea of what the real difference is with these different ad channels. Let's start with Facebook and Instagram because that's a good reference point. What's really great about Facebook and Instagram is that you can use imagery, videos, you can advertise alcohol, you can target. This is the big one. You can target very specifically about craft beer stuff. Like there is a craft beer and brewing interest group inside the targeting. There is home brewing, breweries, microbreweries. These are all targets that are available within Facebook and Instagram. And you can, find other neighboring affinities as well. Like maybe you want to do something based on people who like craft beer and comedy shows and stand-up comedy or trivia or these kind of things. So you can really layer in a nice ad set target there. And it's fairly affordable, okay, at least to start, not necessarily to be effective, but you can run ads for as little as like $2 a day. Now, looking at Google Display, it's almost the same. The main difference is that the targeting affinity is a little bit different. And originally, I was like, yeah, when I gave this presentation, I said, well, craft beer targeting affinities just really aren't there. And that's true. You can't go on there and type in craft beer as like an interest group on Google Display. Okay, so it's like, it's not quite there. However, if you're creative and you think around outside the box, think around corners, you can actually build a target that's pretty darn good. And that's what we've been doing inside of Google Ads. Let me kind of explain some of that. So, first and foremost, what the hell do we even mean by Google Display? So let's look at that. What we mean by that is like these banner type placements. They show up on the sides of websites. They show up in feed content. Sometimes when you're scrolling through news articles, they can be videos, they can be GIFs, they can be static images. This is where they show up. They also can be pop-ups inside of apps, or they can look like static images inside of apps too. You've probably seen that stuff if you've been playing games or looking at news apps and these kind of things. So that's what we mean by display. The targeting capabilities are what makes display attractive. You can target based on demographics like age and location, interest groups. What's really cool about this as well is you can target your ads to show up in contextual environments that are related to your product and or service. And let's unpack that a little bit because this is the first thing where it's thinking outside the box. You could run ads on websites about craft beer, or in the case of the clients that ran last month, as we ran last month, we were showing ads on like outdoors and recreation, outdoor sports type of websites. So they were on websites about like local, like college football teams, fishing, these kind of things. And their ads were showcasing there, which is a much stronger placement contextually than showing up on like Words with Friends or something, or Wordle or whatever the most popular game is these days. So the contextual environment is super huge. Okay. You can also pick out specific websites. So if you know a website you want to show up on and it is available in the Google Ads network, you can run an ad on it. This other one that's most exciting is that you can target based on keyword search history. So you can build a keyword list of people that have maybe looked for breweries, craft beer, IPAs, stouts, all these different things. Maybe how to brew beer. Maybe if you want to target home brewers, you could type in all the home brewing keywords that exist out there. Build a list of terms that somebody has used inside of the search engines or on YouTube or other places like that over the last like year, 9 months, 3 months. You can set a time frame on it. And imagine targeting those folks. That all of a sudden opens up the ability to target craft beer specifically, or very, very close to craft beer within Google Display. Then you serve those ads in these kind of environments, okay, which is really kind of rad. Now, the thing about Google Display is that it's not quite as valuable as a placement as Facebook and Instagram. That's why Facebook charges more for it. Your cost to reach 1,000 people on Facebook is sometimes 4 or 10 times more, sometimes even more than that, than on Google Display. And with good reason. Those placements are good. You're in feed, you're in Reels. This is eyeballs that are actively paying attention to the environment, to the app, and those kind of things. And then the ad that shows up there looks a lot like the other content. Sometimes it's almost undiscernible how different the ad looks. So that's what makes it more valuable. On Google Display, it's just not as valuable. So you have to get a lot more exposure. You have to get a lot more impressions to have the same kind of impact. So it's a little more affordable, and that's why it's good for the top of funnel. You're really building awareness with Google Display. You can also, attack the bottom of the funnel, which means like people that are more close to making a purchase decision with retargeting, which we mentioned on this slide a second ago, or we shown, but we didn't mention. Website retargeting is people that have gone to your website, you attach some kind of tracking cookie or pixel to them. You can serve them ads on other websites because they've been to your website, right? So retargeting can be effective. Like maybe if they've gone to your website, you can serve them deals and promotions and that kind of stuff. Also, it's pretty easy for Google to waste your money. So there's a couple things you want to do. Like if you are running your Google Display now, go check out your placements and try to exclude those game placements. You'll get a ton of impressions and clicks that are just not valuable because somebody is like fat thumb clicking or trying to close out of something that's a pop-up on their app or their game specifically. You can exclude those placements, which is very, very good to do. And we talked about the contextual topics being relevant to your business. That's a great way. Otherwise, Google will show your ads on like websites that aren't really contextually relevant. Like, do you want your beer to show up on CNN.com or some other crazy news site or something like that that isn't quite what you're going for, that really isn't associated with your brand? Probably not. Narrowing down those contextual placements is good. Now, one more note I will make about display is that you kind of have to group YouTube in with display now. And when we think about YouTube, we're usually thinking about these like unskippable or sometimes skippable video ads that run. And yes, that is absolutely something you can do with YouTube, but you can also run video ads that show up in the search when somebody's searching on YouTube, and your YouTube videos become the videos that you can run as a video placement on like your display ads, right? So if you've ever seen a video, if it's run through the Google Display Network, they're running a YouTube ad. They're using a YouTube video rather. Cool thing about YouTube is it's all the same kind of targets. So those topics, you're really picking out a contextual topic that is related to the YouTube channel or the YouTube video that they're watching. So think about homebrewers. They're probably watching a ton of YouTube videos. I do because I am a homebrewer. I'm looking at how to ferment yeast or whatever. And there's videos on YouTube about it. You could serve ads to those folks if you pick that topic out, if you could find it. You can choose specific channels. Okay, and that keyword search history is there. You can also target based on keyword too. So we talked about showing up a search here. Cool. If somebody types in breweries or that kind of stuff, you can show up at the top of this search results. But I think the most valuable one is like this keyword search history and the topics, as it relates to craft beer and home brewing and these kind of like neighboring targets. Again, you're really looking at top of funnel as your primary objective here. You're trying to build awareness. You can do some retargeting, and on YouTube. Sorry, I'm flipping around like crazy. My mouse is sensitive, but you can do some, it is relatively affordable, compared to display. It's relatively the same. Sometimes you get the same kind of cost there. It's definitely more affordable than Facebook ads for sure. But anyways, that's my spiel on this stuff. Again, I think that Google Display, I'll end with this, is I think that Google Display is a very valuable channel. I don't think it's strong enough to stand completely on its own. Like if you weren't doing any other advertising, you're like, well, I'm going to run Google Display because it's the cheapest. You're not going to drive the kind of results that you want to drive. But if you need something to offset or you need to attack multiple channels and you're looking for an affordable way to do so, Google Display and YouTube can certainly be that for you. But all right, I'll let you go. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time. See ya.